I'm Pam Norley, and today I'm joined by Greg Cameron, the president and CEO of the Joffrey Ballet. The Joffrey is a Chicago-based ballet company and dance education organization known as the Mavericks of American Dance. Performing arts organizations like the Joffrey Ballet have had a difficult time, particularly as the pandemic wears on, prioritizing the health and safety of their performers as well as the health and safety of the patrons. And that has meant that performances need to be canceled or community activities put on pause. So we're going to talk today with Greg about some of the difficulties and how the Joffrey Ballet is responding to all this. So let's get started. So Greg, many of us are wishing, particularly this time of year, to see a performance. How is the Joffrey Ballet performing through the continued cancellations due to the pandemic?
Well, Pam, thanks so much for including us and in letting me share a little bit of dance joy with you and your important stakeholders. We have been moving through the pandemic with solid planning, and I have to say that back in March, early April, the Joffrey Ballet developed an 18-month plan. We realized that we were going to need to significantly reduce our operating budgets, but made a very, very early decision to keep our company and keep the artists whole. You can't be an arts organization and put the artists second. And certainly their health and safety was the most important aspect of what we did. But I'm really proud to share that we have maintained contracts with all 45 of our artists. We have asked them to step in and do some things that dancers don't usually do. They're working with our marketing teams, with our development teams. They're brilliant video producers. They're creating Instagram posts. But really keeping our audience sticky, near and dear. We want to keep people aware of what we're doing. And right now, with Nutcrackers being not possible live in a theater, I'm really excited to share that in Chicago, on the facade of the Merchandise Mart, a 2.5-acre sized facade on the Chicago River, we are doing a Nutcracker projection.
Oh, that's wonderful.
But those are just a few of the things that we've done. We're creating digital content like many of our peers across the country to both keep our artists working, but to also remind and keep our mission front and center with our valued stakeholders.
That's great. Well, and obviously Joffrey Ballet is not just a performing arts organization. You also do a lot of work in the community. How has that been impacted by the pandemic?
We all quickly learned how to pivot, and within 3 days' time, our Academy of Dance, which is 10 years old, we have about 50,000 square feet of studio space here in Chicago on the corner of State and Randolph. We were able to suddenly go from being in person with classes to virtual classes. Students returned to their homes, both in Chicago and the suburbs, to Australia, to Italy, to Spain, and they kept dancing. We've committed to the young dancers in our academy, but we've also, back in April, were able to take all of the work that we do with the Chicago Public School students to a virtual space. I'm constantly looking for silver linings, I think like we all are. We have been able to reach more students in the Chicago Public Schools in a virtual way because a dance instructor doesn't have to spend an hour driving from the south side of the Chicago to the west side of Chicago. They're able to, virtually reach students and really provide support for the teachers. And I guess another silver lining is that students are at home and they're enjoying their dance education with a sibling, with a mom, with a dad, with a caregiver, with a grandparent. So I think many, many more people are dancing in Chicago. And I think that's a good thing. We all dance.
I love that image. That is wonderful to hear. Well, let me ask you a question that's kind of on the mind of our donors. What are 3 things that they can do right now to help the performing arts pull through this pandemic?
Supporting the arts. I know it's probably pretty obvious, but back in the spring, we had to reduce our operating budget from $23 million to $10 million.
Wow.
And needless to say, that meant that we had to eliminate some staff positions. And, we didn't do anything that, nonprofit organizations, businesses across the country, across the globe have had to do, but we had to do that knowing that we were also not going to have a revenue stream from our box office and very, very limited revenue stream from our academy, because we wanted to make sure that students could continue to take classes regardless of their ability to pay. So suddenly we had that one magical revenue stream called contributed revenue. And I think that we all know that quoting Winston Churchill, you make a living by what you get, but you make a life by what you give. And donors across the country have given. So giving and finding a way to be involved is critically important. I think also, engaging your networks. And it's not necessarily, asking people to give as well, but to share the stories, to not hold back, and to actively share the things that you are passionate about. And as a nonprofit organization, we're not in a position to give cash, but we very early on, back in April, made a commitment to the Lakeview Pantry here in Chicago. And we have adopted them. And we have done fundraising for the Lakeview Pantry. Staff members have gone out and volunteered, sorting through food. We've done food drives. So I think it's become part of your community. And find that space that makes your heart sing and gives you joy. So those are, a few things that will long-term strengthen the city or the community that you call home, because communities are indeed, when we're ready to go back to, quote, whatever the normal is, I guarantee you that artists will be leading the parade.
Great way to end this conversation. Thank you so much for all you're doing to bring joy and dance to those who love ballet. So Greg Cameron, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Pam. It's a real pleasure and an honor. Holiday joy to all.